time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Cabela's,
Antler Action,
Spot Shooter Archery,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
and Badass Slingshots.
I shoot PSE because I like one pin to 40 yards.
I shoot PSE for the perfect combination of feel and performance.
I shoot PSE because you can shoot lighter poundage and increase arrow speed.
I shoot PSE for the fastest bows on the planet. I shoot PSE because my livelihood depends on my bow.
I shoot PSE because better engineering makes a better bow.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE. I shoot PSE.
Experience PSE. Experience performance.
We know the future of hunting depends on our nation's youth. But did you know that in many states, it's illegal for you to take your son or daughter hunting until the age of 12 or even older? As a result, we have fewer young hunters, and the Families Afield program is designed to eliminate those barriers. Hunting is safe, and the safest hunters afield are young people with adult mentors. Visit our website at familiesafield.org to find out how you can bring more families afield.
Hey, we are at Spot Shooter Archery Bowfest, back here for another minicast this week, Bowfest 2016, Bowfest 10.
Absolutely.
And it's still raining.
It's still raining, yeah.
Man, oh
it's
man.
The morning started off great.
Yeah, and now it's finishing on a wet note. But, speaking of water, that's something to contend with when one goes hunting and they're packing food in and all those things. I know some guys now are starting to talk about dehydrating their own food and getting ready for hunts. And actually, we're sitting here with Jason Meekhof of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, who we've had on the show here recently. And Jason, when we talked to you, you're getting ready for a bear hunt in Michigan, and you decided, or let me ask you, why did you decide to dehydrate and pack your own food in instead of going and buying some stuff?
Well, there's a couple reasons. For one, the dehydrated food you can buy on the shelf is really expensive. You know, you're talking about $8-9 a meal plus. And on top of that, if you look at the ingredients in those things, the salt content is crazy. And I haven't really I've been eating a lot different than that kind of stuff at home for quite some time now. So to eat that kind of thing will make my body not real happy, and that's the last thing I need while I'm out hiking in the deep woods. So I decided to try dehydrating my own meals. So that's sort of why I did it.
Okay, you're doing a DIY bear hunt. You guys are going deep in the woods. You're packing your own stuff in. Kind of take us through the process of how you started. You told us why you're doing it. Number one, the content, and also the price. Tell us what you did and how it kind of shook out, and is it good and all that kind of stuff.
So yeah, so what I did is I basically picked things like stews and stuff like that, stuff that's real thick so that when you add some water it'll stay thick. It's not like watery like soup. So just some of my favorite recipes of stuff I've done. One of the first things I tried was a beef stew, venison stew. So what I did was I took something that I had already canned earlier in the year for something, and I took and put it on the stove, added some lentils because they're up the protein content, cooked that down a little bit, and I just spread it out on my dehydrator and dehydrated it for like 9 hours. So, but yeah, I've tried that. I tried that venison stew recipe. It was great. I even cooked it for my daughter later in the week for lunch for her and I, and she thought it was fantastic. So hard to beat a 13-year-old actually liking it, so it can't be that bad.
You're right.
Right on.
Their menu selection at that age sometimes is very limited.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, something to consider, I mean, when you're dehydrating food, you're preparing this for this hunt, but, your calorie intake, talk a little bit about the thought process behind that.
So yeah, as far as calories go, the big thing is you're looking at a calorie to weight ratio. Most people say that what you want to do when you're packing in food, you want to look at between 100 and 150 calories per ounce of food. The last thing, the venison stew I made ended up at roughly between 180 and 200 calories per ounce, which is like fantastic. So you're looking at 1 6-ounce meal was like 1,200 calories. So that's a tremendous calorie dense item for something that light. And then, when you're hiking around in the woods all day on end, you're looking at needing to eat between 3,500 and 4,000 calories a day just to keep not being calorie deficient.
Wow.
Because other words, you're going to look at by the 5th day of your hunt or whatever, you're going to be far more weak than you were at the beginning of it because you're just not getting enough food.
Now, something I've wondered about, okay, so you're taking the water content out of this, dehydrating, you're getting it packed down. You already got to get water to hydrate yourself. You got to carry additional water now to be able to cook this. Or are you planning on filtering water out in the field when you're out in the field and find a water source?
Yeah, I'll be filtering water out in the field while we're out there. We're going to the Porcupine Mountains, which is there's a ton of water up there. It's not really a problem. There's rivers all over the place. It might be one thing if you're back out west in the desert, high desert type areas where water's really hard to get. Then you'll have to pack water in or something like that. But where we're going is just going to be filtering water as we go.
And another thing you mentioned about why you're doing this is the cost factor. The price that you pay at the store for food as opposed to making it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It's when you're looking at $8 a meal, and I already can stuff and do all that kind of stuff all the time anyways. So I have those meals already ready to go. All I got to do is put them in the dehydrator. So it's basically the cost of a meal I already had. So you're looking at $1 or $2 as opposed to $7 or $8, which
per meal.
Per meal, which can really add up when you're going for 5 to 7 days. You need 3 meals a day. That can add up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's one of the big things.
So if you got just a regular dehydrator, this is kind of the way you did it. You said you laid it out. I mean, obviously it's not one that has it's porous like you'd lay meat on for jerky. It's you get a solid tray and you're dehydrating on that. Then you take it and simply package it up and vacuum seal it.
Yeah, exactly. As you're drying it, you can get the solid bottom inserts for most dehydrators. Mine happens to be a round one. The inserts for it cost like $6 for 2 of them. So you spread it out on there and you just let it go. And then you break it up as you're going so you don't have any big chunks. So if you have big chunks, it'll just obviously take longer to dry it out. So you break it up as you go, and then after 10 hours or so, it'll be dry. And I just throw it in a vacuum sealer bag, vacuum seal it down. So it takes up very little space.
Do you cut the bag a little bit bigger so you can put when you pour the water right in the bag, or do you plan on putting it in a pan? I mean, I guess what I'm asking is, do you plan on using the bag as a bowl?
You can do that. I know some people that do that. My particular, I want to have less space in my pack taken up by bag, so bags aren't big enough for a bowl, but my stove that I'm taking out there, my backpacking stove, has a couple of little small bowls that are used for the pans, and I'll just warm them up inside there, then rinse them out when I'm done.
Is there anything that you've ran across or heard about, maybe some don'ts, some things to stay away from when trying to do this, certain foods maybe, or a certain trick that you tried that didn't work?
Well, one thing you got to be careful of is don't go with like super greasy meats and stuff like that, because certain oils, they won't dry out obviously because it's no water content, and those oils, fats can go rancid. So venison's great for it because it's a very lean meat. Wild game's awesome for that because of that. You wouldn't want to use super fatty sausage of some sort in something because that oil could possibly go rancid while you're packing around.
It's great advice.
Absolutely, and you don't want that happening while you're out backpacking.
No. So, Danny, what do you think? You ready to start trying to maybe vacuum seal some food here for camp this year?
I wouldn't mind trying it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, try it once or twice here and see what happens.
Why not?
Yeah, all right.
So, I'm good for that.
I tell you what, when you get back from your bear hunt, we definitely want to talk to you about the bear hunt, but we also want to see how these meals work out for you, and maybe some trial and error of something that you may or may not change.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. I would love to do that. I'd love talking to you guys. It's a good time. So.
Well, before we go, we'll give a shout-out here for Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. Where can people find you and what you're about?
Backcountryhunters.org, and we are the sportsman's voice for our wild public lands, wild public lands, waterways, and wildlife.
So we're protecting our public waterways and wildlife and land out there for public access for people to get out and enjoy those places. And what they're doing is helping to preserve those, or being a voice for us. For the membership's $20. Am I right on that?
It's $25 a year.
$25 a year. Okay, and get your membership just to help do your part out there for the public lands and making sure that those things don't get sold off. So go over and give them a check and take a look at their website, and if you're so inclined, drop a donation for them guys. Well, that'll do it for this minicast.
This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Cabela's,
Antler Action,
Spot Shooter Archery,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
and Badass Slingshots.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.